Hey guys, welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to be working on our blog page. So before we do that, I would like to fix some issues we currently have. So first one is I forgot to set the limit for our posts on the homepage. So we got all the posts showing. So let's go ahead and fix that. It's an easy fix. There used to be a take 9 over here. I believe I forgot and I accidentally removed it. So it's going to be on our home controller. For latest posts, we need to say take 9. So we only are basically taking 9 of them from the database. And now if we reload, we only have 9. Okay, very good. Now, one more issue I would like to address, guys, is if you go on the profile page, and if you remember, we enabled the profile picture functionality on Jetstream. So if I go ahead and I select some image, it shows fine over here. If I click on save, we are not actually able to see the image, right? So let me show you guys how you can fix that. So first step is you need to make sure you have actually linked your storage. So you can go ahead, open up your terminal and type in PHP artisan storage link. And so if you don't have that, let's go ahead and run it. I think it automatically runs if you're doing composer install. So if that doesn't fix the issue for you, the next potential issue could be from your .env file. So let's go ahead and open it up. I have my .env file open. So you need to make sure that your app URL matches the actual URL of your application. For now, if for example, it's saying your yellownews.test, obviously I'm using PHP artisan serve. So if you're using some other web server, it might be using yellownews.test. In that case, you won't have any issues. So in my situation, I will have to go ahead and copy the actual URL we have and then replace it over here, okay? So if you're still also having the issue, go ahead and update this app URL, save it up. And now if we reload, we should be able to see the logo. Now, another issue we have, which isn't the case on regular Jetstream install, is if I go ahead and I remove this photo and I save, we don't see this image at the top change. If you're doing a fresh Jetstream install, this actually automatically changes without any page reloads. So the reason this is happening is previously Jetstream was using this navigation menu, which we currently are not loading. And this navigation menu is actually a Livewire component. So whenever you upload the image, basically in the background, the Jetstream kind of profile information component sends an event that tells this icon to reload, right? So if you want that to happen, we will need to use this navigation menu. So that's basically what I'm going to go ahead and do today, because I like that functionality. So we will have to kind of move some of the code we have inside this navigation menu inside our header. So let's open up our header that we already have. So it's going to be layouts, partials. Let's open up our header. Now inside our header, we are using the application logo. I'm going to go ahead and also open up the navigation menu next to it. Very good. So let's open them side by side so you guys can see a little bit easier. So on the right side, I have the header, and then on the left side, I have the navigation menu. Now, first thing we see is actually the navigation menu is using something called application mark. This is kind of like the logo, but it's like the smaller version of it. So I would like to go ahead and update this application mark as well. If you just actually copy it from the navigation menu and replace it with in our header instead of the application logo. And let's see what we get. We get the Jetstream logo. So I don't want this to happen or be inside our application. So let's go ahead and actually update this application mark first. So let's find it. It should be inside components, application mark, somewhere around here. It's over here. It's actually on their logo. And I'm actually going to go ahead and copy the logo inside the mark, okay? I'm going to make them exactly the same. Although that would kind of make it useless to have two of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the logo to be like the full version. So I have the code as well. And then the mark be just yellow, okay? And I'm going to close it. And just like Jetstream, I'm actually going to go ahead and use application mark instead of application logo on our header. So let's open up the header on the right side. I'll make this mark. Let's just see if it works. It does. Okay, very good. So one more thing is here we are using our route name. So for these navigation menus, guys, as you guys see, we have our LI and A tags. This is inside our header. On Jetstream, there's actually a Livewire component for navigation menus, and I'm going to actually go ahead and use these. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to copy the code we have inside the navigation menu. These are what comes with Jetstream. And I'm going to basically use that instead of the code we have. So first of all, I'll update this div, this UL to a div. So we don't need all these LIs. I'll do the exact same thing down here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and remove all these links because we don't have any of these pages. We'll add them as we go along. Even the blog page, why not? And let's minify this so you guys can see a little bit better. So I'm going to replace this home link that we already have, although I'm commented out because I would like to have the styles for it. with this xnav link, and then instead of this dashboard, I'm going to replace it with home. I'm going to replace this with home. And if you guys are not familiar, this underline is for basically kind of translations. So it gives you the ability to translate these. Now we're not going to be using translations on this project, but it's good to have them here. So you have that option in the future. So let's go ahead and do reload. And it's actually working now. It does have a different styling than our application's original styling. So if you guys like this, you can go ahead and just keep this. And as a matter of fact, I do actually like it. The underline looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and change the color from purple to yellow, which is our application styling. If you like, we can go ahead and actually use the styling we already have. So let me show you guys how that works in a second. So this is our previous A tag that we had. Let me close this navigation menu for now. So let's go ahead. I'm going to copy the entire styling we have in everything basically after item center. And now we need to go ahead and find this nav link component. So I'm going to search for it using VS Code, quickly find it. And as you guys see, this is the component. So it has the first one is going to be the styling for when it's active, and then the second one is for when it's not active. So I'm going to go ahead and replace both of them. Let's keep the inline flex item center. I don't want the padding stuff. Let's go ahead and place that. I'm going to do the exact same thing for above as well. So now if we save it, it should exactly look like it did before. Now this is the active state. So on the active state, the link is supposed to be yellow. So which is going to be the first part in the if statement, right? So here it's checking if it's active. It shows the first one. If it's not active, it will show the second line. So if it's not active, instead of yellow, I'm going to go ahead and say text gray 500. And if you hover over it, and for some reason VS Code keeps updating it as I save. And if you hover over it, instead of, let's keep it actually the way it is, right? I think it should be okay. So let's save this. It will obviously format it again. For me, it's okay. And now it will look exactly like it did before. And the way it works is using this active prop, you have the ability to kind of toggle the active on and off. Okay, if I add another link, let's say for our blog page, we don't have this blog page at the moment. So I'll make this dashboard so we don't get an error message. This one also should be dashboard. As you can see, this one is not active. If I hover over it, the color is a little bit different. If I click on it, obviously we are on the dashboard page and it actually turns on. Also, this logo changed as well automatically as we change the components. So that now that we have this, guys, I'm going to remove this for now. Later on, we'll come back to it. I think we can also remove this A tag. So what I would like to do now is if we take a look at our nav link, our navigation menu, let's see if there is anything else we would like to bring over to our header. So we already changed the application mark. We already changed the nav link. So here is using the dropdown, which we already have. Now this, the jetstream navigation menu also has a menu layout. I don't really care about using it, so I'm not going to be actually bringing those in. Okay, so it has a responsive nav link, all this stuff. Our template, we don't really need it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually delete this responsive nav link. Okay, it's only shown on mobile. On our template, we don't have that, so we don't need it. So I think we're actually officially done. So I'm going to go ahead, delete everything inside this navigation menu that came with Jetstream. And I'm going to go ahead and actually copy our header, the entire header, and move it inside this navigation menu. Okay. Now, instead of the header tag, I'm going to convert this to nav. So it makes more sense. And then instead of header left, I'm going to say nav left. And then this one, I'm going to make it nav right. And while we're at it, technically, we can actually make this look a little bit better. Instead of having these two, we can also have, like an else over here. Right. And I actually prefer it the other way around. So instead of guest, I would prefer if we had auth and then end auth, and we would have to switch these. Okay. So this basically, we have like one less directive call over here. And I think we're officially done. So from now on, if you have any navigation links, we're going to use this xnav link. So now that we have that, we'll need to actually include this inside our header. So I'm going to delete the previous header code. I'm also going to get rid of all these classes because we actually copied these to our navigation menu. And here we can go ahead and now include this navigation menu. Now, as I said, guys, this is a Livewire component, not just a blade file. So we would have to use a Livewire navigation menu. Okay, and this Livewire component is obviously as part of Jetstream, so we won't have access to the PHP code, but we do know that this does exist. So if we go ahead and reload, hopefully everything should look exactly the same. It does, so that's good news. Now let's try again. I'm going to try to upload another image, and this should automatically update. So let's try again. I'm going to click on logo, and I'm going to save it. And as you guys can see, it automatically changed. Very good. Now we do have one more thing we need to change about the navigation menu, guys. We have the login and register links. So let's go and change those as well. I'm going to open up navigation menu. As you guys can see, from now on, we're using xnav link. So I'm going to copy this. And now we can go ahead and update it inside our header right and header left, right? So inside header right, I don't think we're using any links, but inside header right, yes, we do have links for our login and register. So I'm going to get rid of both of these, and I'm going to add for our login. I'm going to replace all the home with login. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing for register as well. This one is going to be a register, and this one also register. And if we reload, it should look exactly like it did before, okay? Very good. And then is there anything else we need to worry about? I think that's all. I think that's very good. So let's go ahead, check out login, register. The active state also works now, which is very good. So let's go ahead and log in again. Now, we have this dashboard page when we log in. So technically on our application, we don't need a dashboard page. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this actually completely. So first, let's go ahead and delete the route file for it, which is inside here. Although instead of deleting it, for now, I'm going to comment it out. This also means we need to remove the blade file for it. Now, if you guys take a look at the blade file, it's using a jetstream component called welcome, which is basically what we had before. We don't need this welcome file anymore. So I'm going to first delete the entire dashboard blade file, and then also go ahead and delete that welcome component. So inside component, where is welcome is down here. I'm going to go ahead and delete it because we no longer need it. If you open it up, guys, you can see it's saying welcome to your jetstream application. Okay, so obviously we don't need this inside our own application. So I'm going to go delete it. And also, as I mentioned previously, we are not using responsive nav link anymore. It was used only inside jetstream. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this as well. All right. And obviously now if you try to access the dashboard page, we get not found. So this does create one new issue. If you log out and log in again, when you log in, you're automatically redirected to the dashboard page. So how can we fix that? This is actually easy to fix. If this is actually controlled by your route service provider. So if we go back to our app folder, inside the providers, there is a file called route service provider. And this has a section called home. So this is actually what jetstream uses to control where to redirect after logging in. So we just have to basically change this from dashboard to whatever page you like. In our case, I'm going to change it to our home page. So when we log in, I want the user to go to our home page. So let's save this up. Let's go ahead and test it again. Hopefully it should work. Let me log out. I'm going to click on login again, and then yeah, it's now working. So we are now being redirected to our homepage. So that was quite a bit of changes to make, guys. I know, but we have to do all of these layout changes when we're working with jetstream, unless you're basically using the exact same styling that it provides. So now that we have done that, we can actually go ahead and create our blog page. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, guys. So I'm going to start off by first actually creating our blog route and setting up our controller and views. And later we will go ahead and actually bring the HTML template over. So let's go ahead and start by doing that. So for our blog page, it's going to be similar to our home page. So it's going to be basically /blog. You can maybe use whatever else you like. Maybe posts is up to you. I'm going to go with blog. I think it makes more sense. Now we already have a post controller, so we're going to use that post controller. And I'm going to basically have it route to an index method, right? We don't have this method yet, but we will go ahead and create it. Now for the name, you can name it blog. You can name it also post index. I'm going to go ahead with post index. I think that's what I'm going to go with. So it's up to you guys. You can also use blog if you want, but I think I'm going to go with post index so it's consistent as we go throughout the course. All right, so now that we have these, let's go ahead and actually create this index method inside our controller. So I'm going to open it up. Let's do public function index. And we are going to return a view inside a posts index. Okay, so we need to go ahead and create this view file now. So I'm going to go inside our resources, views. Now, jetstream does provide quite a bit of files here. In the earliest version, these kind of components and emails were not actually inside here. They were inside a vendor folder. I prefer that a little bit more. So if you actually are going to build a kind of larger project later on and expand this more, you may want to have, for example, a blog folder and put all the blog related stuff inside here. But in this course, we're only going to have a blog, so I'm not going to do it. So we're only going to have a few more folders, maybe one for categories, and that's pretty much it, right? We're not going to have too many folders. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a post folder. And then inside it, I'm going to go ahead and create our index.blade.php. And this is going to basically extend the same layout as our homepage. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this X app layout and put it inside our index. And let's also close it up. And now we should be able to go ahead and visit our blog page. So I'm going to go ahead and manually open it up, just make sure it's working. It is. And we can also go ahead and add it to our navigation menu. So it's going to be inside this navigation menu. If we find it, we already have one for home. So I'm going to copy it and create one for blog. Now the route is going to be posts index. And this one is also going to be posts index. All right. Now, as you guys can see, I'm using these route names over here. So this is useful because it gives you the ability to change these routes later on without having to actually change your Blade view files. So I don't like manually typing in blog, something like that. Okay. So throughout the course, I'm just going to be always using route names. And that's all we have to do, guys. Let's go ahead and do a reload. As you can see, it automatically works. We don't need to do anything. Now, since we are using Livewire, we can go ahead and use the new Wire Navigate feature to prevent page reloads. So now that we are using this navlink component, it's actually easy to do that, right? We can go ahead and update this or add Wire Navigate to it. So let's open up navlink. And I'm just going to go ahead inside this A tag, go ahead and give it Wire Navigate. That's all we have to do. And it should update everywhere that we are using links, right? So if I click on blog, now it's reloading the page. Sorry, it's changing the page without any page reloads. Very nice. Now we also have some links inside this profile. So if I click on profile, it's actually reloading the page. So one way we can fix this is we actually need to find the code for this and see what it is using for the navigation links. So let me find it. I believe inside our header right. And let me close this left bar. So there is a button over here. If we scroll down, we have a bunch of links, right? So it's using a component called the drop-down link. We can go ahead and add it to this, but this drop-down link is also used for our logout button. So I'm worried it will actually kind of cause issues for our logout. So the easiest way is we can actually just go ahead and do Wire Navigate over here and also Wire Navigate. If I found us, we are using more than this like 2-3 links, I might go ahead and update this drop down link later on. But for now, I think this is enough for us. And I believe I have a typo over here. That should fix it. And yeah, I think we're good to go, guys. So let's do a reload. Let's try again. I'll go to the blog page and I click on profile, no page reload, and it seems to be working now. Now we obviously don't have API tokens enabled. So technically, if you never plan on using it, you can delete this code, but I'm going to keep it for now in case we want to add an API at some point. And if I go to the blog and homepage, we are not getting any page reloads. Very nice. So now that we have this, guys, let's go ahead and actually bring our blog page template over to our application. So on the GitHub, again, as always, guys, the link will always be in the description. There is a file called blog.html. So this is the template for our blog page. So I'm going to start off by first copying the entire thing by clicking on copy raw file, bring it over to VS Code, and I'm going to close all these files at the top so it's a bit easier for you guys to see. It did not copy it. Let's try again. I'm going to move it over here, and if you're on VS Code, it should automatically detect it as HTML. If it did not, you can do Command Shift P if you're on Mac, or Control Shift P, and open up this toolbar and then search for a language. Okay, it gives you the ability to change the language, hit enter, and then type in HTML. Okay, and manually set it. So the first part, we don't need that. We don't need the header. I'm going to remove all of those. This is going to be exactly the same thing we did for the homepage, guys. So I'm not going to try to explain it too much. We only need the content inside this main. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, get rid of everything, copy the content inside the main, and paste it inside our X app layout. Let me format it, and then we can click this new file we opened. Let's go back and let's see if it's working or not. It seems to be working. Yep, the search bar is looking nice. The recommended topics looks good. Now our post itself obviously is not working. The image is not loading. Totally okay. For now, I'm going to go ahead and just load some dummy data over, guys. We're going to actually use a Livewire component for this. But for now, I'm just going to put some information here so we can actually see how it looks, okay? And later on, we will go ahead and create our Livewire component. So the first part is going to be our filters. This article is actually where we are showing a single post, right? So we can actually go ahead and extract this inside its own blade component or inside its own blade file, okay? So it's a bit easier, and we can also do a loop. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up the terminal and let's create a blade component so we can actually put this article inside of it. So let's do PHP artisan make component, and I'm going to name it. Also, if you guys remember, for our blade components, we had a posts folder, so we have a post card. So for this one, I'm just going to name it post, actually. So it's going to be posts, post. Or what else can we name it, actually? Is this like a post item? Why not? Let's name it post item. So let's do that. I'm going to hit enter. And we also need to do -- view as always. I keep forgetting that. So we only create a view file and not a PHP file. Let's hit enter. And I seem to have, I always make this mistake, component. Let's fix that. And now we should have a new component. So we have a post card and post item, right? So let's go ahead, open up this post item, and I'm going to copy this entire article actually inside of it, right? So let's go ahead, copy this. I'm going to move it all over here, save this, and now we can go ahead and basically do x posts dot post item. And this should be able to basically look exactly identical. Very good. So for testing purposes, guys, let's go ahead, open up our post controller. And I'm going to basically pass it in some random posts. This is just for now. Later on, we'll update that. So I'm going to say posts, and it's going to be equal to our post table. And I'm going to just basically take like 5 posts. Okay, just for now. We're not going to be using this actually. I just want to make sure that we are showing the data properly. So let's open up our index file. Let's close the controller. Now we can go ahead and actually add a for each loop over here and say for posts as post, go ahead and for each of them display our post item. And inside the post item, we can actually go ahead and add a prop of post. And then we should have access to it over here. Very good. So let's see if it's working or not. Actually, I'm not passing in the post, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to say post equals post. And now it's working just fine. So let's go ahead and actually display the post content here instead of this kind of dummy data we have over here now. So let's open up our post item blade component. So the first one is going to be the thumbnail. Now for the thumbnail, because I'm using a faker, we use kind of a faker to generate image URLs. So it's already an image URL stored on our database. We can go ahead and just do post image. Now this will later on cause issue once we create our admin panel and we're uploading images. So I will come back and update this, but for now this should be more than enough. Next up we have the avatar. So this is the author of the post. So we can go ahead and here say post dot user, or we can also do author. I think author would be a little bit better. And then dot name. Now we don't have the author yet on our post, so we will have to go ahead and define that. And then this one is when the post was posted. So I'm going to say post dot published at dot diff for humans. Now this diff for humans, it should be an S, is a Laravel Carbon function that basically gives us in a format of like 2 days ago, something like that. And so in order for this to work, we actually need to convert this published at to a date time. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that on our post. If you try again, now we get a bunch of errors. So first one is telling us name is null. That's because this author does not exist. So let's go ahead and define that first. So I'm going to open up our post model. we can scroll down or we can at the top go ahead and define a relationship of author. So I'm going to say public function author, and this is going to be one to, we can go ahead and say this dot belongs to, okay, so every post basically belongs to a single author, right? So it's a one-to-many relationship. So an author can have many posts and a post has only one author. So this one belongs to a user, okay, an object of type class user. And I believe that's all we have to do actually. We don't need to do anything else. So let's see if it works. If it doesn't, we might have to define, yeah, we don't need to actually define the foreign key, okay? So the foreign key is going to be user ID. So let's try it out. It is working now. It's telling us diff for humans on null. So in order to fix this, we need to actually cast publish that as a date. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that from actually our users if you guys want. So inside our user model, it automatically comes with a cast code. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, move it over to our post. And instead of is email verified, I'm going to say published at. And now our published at is going to be a datetime and automatically become a carbon object. So we can actually go ahead and call this diff for humans on it. So let's go ahead and check this out. And now it seems to be working, guys. So we are getting Miss Gloria something, Tyler skills. So it seems to be working very good. Our image is also working. Now, what about this icon that we have for each user? How can we fix that? So we can go ahead and take a look at how Jetstream is showing the icon at the top. Let's go ahead and open up our navigation menu. So inside our navigation menu, we are actually including the top bar inside this header right. So let's open up header right auth. And let's see where we are showing the image of the user's profile icon. It's over here. So it's using auth user profile photo URL. So that's basically what we have to use to display the profile photo. So let's go ahead and copy this. I'm going to copy it, move over to our post component. And here we can say, instead of avatar, inside here, we can go ahead and say post.author.profile photo name. And here, instead of this alt, I'm going to actually go ahead and display the name of the author, okay? I think that should get the job done. So let's go ahead and do a reload. I didn't even need to reload, it automatically reload it. Now we are getting the author's profile image as well. So very nice, guys. Now one more thing remaining, I think, is the post content. So, or the post body. So let's go ahead and update that. First post, that's the title. So let's go ahead and add the title, post title. And next up we have this one, which is supposed to be the post body, I believe. So we can go ahead and do that now. For the post body, we actually technically need an excerpt, which is going to be like a shorter version of it. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put the body, and then I'll come back and I'm going to convert this into an excerpt. So this one is going to be our like button. For now, I'll just leave it as is. We will later on have to go ahead and actually create a Livewire component for this. Is there anything else we need to change? No. We also have one more thing, which is a 5-minute read. So how long this post is supposed to be. We don't actually have that on our database, so we'll have to manually calculate this. So one easy solution, guys, is we can see average reading speed for humans. I'm going to search that on Google if I can type in speed. And apparently it is 250 words per minute, right? So we can count the number of words we have on our post and then divide that by 250 and get a rough estimate of how long it takes to read this. Okay, that's like a short, easy way of doing it instead of having to actually type that in. And yeah, that's from Google. Okay, maybe there are some other numbers. It seems to be between 200 and 300 words per minute. So I'm going to go ahead and use 250. So it's going to be very easy. We can go ahead and actually define a method on our post model to actually get this. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open it up. Let's do it at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and create a new function for this. So I'm going to name the function reading time. Or let's say get, or the reading time should be okay. Although I might be confused with a property. So let's just name it get reading time. Now we need to count the number of words we have. So I'm going to say words equals to, and PHP actually already has a method for getting number of words in a string. So we can go ahead and say str, I believe it's something like that, word count. Yep, it's over here. And we can go ahead and pass it in our body. And then based on Google, the average reading speed was 250 words per minute. So let's divide it by 250. And I believe that should be enough. We can maybe also round it off if it gives us some, 2.5 minutes or something like that. So let's go ahead and do that. We don't need it to be exactly accurate. And I think that should be enough. So let's go ahead and just return this. Now, this is actually my first time doing this, so we'll see if it works or not. If we find any issues with it later on, we can go ahead and upgrade this. Now, one more thing we also have, guys, is this isn't actually the blog post view page, right? So we need to actually go ahead and show kind of a description or a minified version. So we need to also define an excerpt. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, similar to our reading time, define a method to actually do that. So I'm going to say public function get excerpt. I think that's how you spell it. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, guys, to be honest. I think so. And inside here, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and basically, let's say, only get the first 100 characters or something of our post. Okay, so it's going to be relatively easy to implement. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's do this. We can go ahead and say return. And Laravel actually has a string helper. And for some reason, it does not seem to be recommending it to me VS Code, is it? str, nope, it's not recommending it. So let's go ahead and just get the import from somewhere over here, not Stripe, str. So I'll open up the helpers website. Sometimes it happens for me, for some reason VS Code does not import some things properly. I think it's inside Illuminate support str. So let's go ahead and include that, str. So now we have it. I can go ahead and say str, and it has something called the limit. It gives you basically, limits the number of words you see. So if you have like 1,000 word string, it will give you the first 200. And here we are going to pass in our body. Now this will cause some issues, guys, because our body will have HTML inside it on the actual application. So one thing we can do is PHP has a method called strip tags. So we can say strip tags, and basically this should strip all the HTML tags and just give us the text. And then we can limit it to 150, something like that. Okay, I'm not sure actually if 150 is enough. We would have to experiment with that and find the best number. So let's go ahead and add these to our blade component. So first one is going to be our excerpt. I'm going to say get excerpt. Now let's make sure I'm spelling that correctly. English is not my first language, guys. My apologies. It is indeed correct. Okay. And then next one is going to be get reading time. Let's go ahead and also update that. So 5-minute read. I'm going to go ahead and add this post.getReadingTime. Now let's format this, and we are getting 0 min red. Very nice. But our excerpt is actually working, so that's good to know. Now, why is this 0 minutes? I'm not actually sure. It could be because we have less than 200 words, 250 words, right? Which means it takes less than 1 minute. So we can actually go ahead and if it's like 0, show 1. That might be a good thing to do. So let's go ahead and do something like this. And then return if minutes is less than 1, go ahead and show 1, else just show minutes. And that should get the job done. Let's go ahead and do a reload, and now it's working fine. Very good, guys. So I believe we have officially created our blog post kind of stub, just the starting point. On the next episode, guys, we're going to actually create a Livewire component to display all of these, add our pagination as well as our filters. I think in this video we already have covered too much, and the video is getting a bit too long. So I'm going to end it over here. If you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe so you get notified of the latest episode. And I appreciate that. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a great day. Bye.